Okay, hey everybody. So, I was, you know, thinking about, not thinking about, so I'm about to like start recording for this episode, of reviewing for the summer Hikaru died. I was initially gonna like make fan art or draw fan art for these speed paints related to the show at least, but I wasn't really in like the best space to be doing that. So it's just gonna be some art of my own OCs. I'm gonna be drawing instead. Uh, but yeah. So, anyways, here we are. So today we're going to be reviewing episode 3 of the summer Hikaru died. Last episode 2, we left off. Yoshiki was looking at the phone and he was kind of pondering over like how he felt about everything and how he somewhere deep in his heart he knew that he wasn't gonna you know uh really let go of Hikaru even despite everything that's going on. But at the start of the episode we can see that Yoshiki is like still really in the bellies of grief, and so what happened to like Hikaru, because we open the episode with him going to like their house and stuff like that, and he brings like a watermelon, and while like Hikaru like he takes a nap or whatever. By the way, creepy that his eyes like rolls into the back of his head while he sleeps. I don't know if that's something like the original Hikaru did or it's just something that's unique to this alien, but that's creepy. But like he's just putting his head in his hands and he's poor baby, he's just like he's going through it, man. Like it's just not a good time, right? But we get a little bit more information about like Hikaru's dad, because there's like we had like a flashback scene to when they were younger and they were like eating this watermelon, and like Hikaru's dad came around the corner. He was just watching them like be stealing and stuff like that. It's just, once again, this show is really good at like balancing like I guess a certain like sweetness or tenderness with like tragedy, especially since we know what's going to happen if we go back to the present and see what's happened, because it's just like damn, they just don't know what's in the like what's going to be happening to them later down the road. But we find out that Hikaru's dad isn't around because he died not too long ago, right? And they said like not too long after he died, Hikaru went up to the mountain, and we find out that the mountain that Hikaru's dad went up to, nobody was supposed to go up there, right? It was like nobody's supposed to be hiking up there. So it makes you wonder like why did his dad go up there, and then like is the reason that Hikaru went up there having something to do with his dad? Because it does make you wonder, it's like, okay, so what's going on with that? Because I initially theorized, because in the last episode, Hikaru's dad, he told him that if you don't marry, he said a girl specifically, but the person you care about, the Nonoki-sama is going to come down and take her or whatever, right? Because while it won't touch the Endo family, it'll take the person closest to you. So I initially thought like Hikaru went up there because he thought something was going to happen to Yoshiki, but like I don't know, like is that also the case? But then like he went up there trying to see what pertained to his dad. I'm not really sure, right? Okay, so then Yoshiki goes to meet up with Rie, and which like when he basically told her, like it's like a quick succession, we didn't like get a rehash of it, it was just like 2 little seconds, and she kind of like got everything that happened, and she was like, oh wait, I kind of jumped the gun, I kind of assumed it was a girl you were going to get like quote unquote mixed with or whatever, which like, but she didn't seem to like judgmental that it was a boy. She was kind of like that's weird. Like she's like so I guess that happened quicker than I thought or something like that, right? So she kind of like, she didn't seem to like really harmed on the fact that it was with a boy. But then we get something about her, because she said she wanted to like leave this village because what had initially happened was that she had like a husband, right? And something happened with him. So she said everything was fine until like one day, like I guess he kind of just had flipped a switch, and like he attacked their son. They had 2 kids together, the daughter and a son. He had attacked their son, and she said like he left a wound that their son will never heal from. And I'm like a physical, mental, like what do you mean? Because apparently he also left the village not too long ago as well. And she said, like, yeah, it's kind of like you can't really let go of that loved one that passed. And we get like a shot of like her ring finger, but the ring isn't there, but it's like a indent of, like, you wear a wedding ring or just a ring of any kind on your finger for a long time, and it's like, and it makes you think, okay, so like, did that happen super recently or something like that? Like, that's probably pretty recent, like maybe within the last month or so or something like that, because like, and if that's the case, if her husband like was fine and then like one day it kind of feel like he just flipped a switch on her, like, do these spirits have a tendency to like come down more often than we think and like possess people? Like, maybe Hikaru isn't the only case of this happening, because so that's like one is enough. We get a little bit more backstory about her, and then she brings up the fact that like ever since whatever was up there came down from the mountain, like there's been like this distortion happening around the village and town and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of like why we're seeing more and people, specifically like Asako and stuff like that. Like, we're seeing more people kind of get this uneasy feeling. And Rie also mentioned it too. She was like this is like uneasy feeling. Like, more and more people are probably catching onto it, because whatever was initially up there, or whatever's, I guess, possessing Hikaru's coming down here now, is kind of causing chaos with everything. Like, everything feels off. And I think that probably is also linked to like why, those not village elders, or those people in the village who are saying like, oh, the ritual failed because of Nonoki. Something like the ritual failed because something is like going haywire, like more and more stuff is just like going wild for whatever reason that may be. But like, these last 6 minutes of this episode were like a lot. Like, Yoshiki, after he had this conversation with her, he's like really pondering on like trying to hold his guard, like keep it, he's trying to like keep up the front of like not getting any closer to Hikaru than he already is, right? Because like, we're like in the school and he's just sitting at his desk, whatever, and it's like reading really, really hard, and Hikaru asks Yuki and Asako like, oh, have you guys seen Yoshiki? And they're like, oh no, we haven't seen him yet. Or then Yuki finds him, and Yoshiki tells her like, oh, tell Hikaru like, I'm not gonna be walking home with him today because I got something to do. Lying, but like, whatever, right? And Hikaru finds him, and he's trying to like, just joke with him, play with him, laugh with him, whatever. But like, Yoshiki's like kind of brushing him off, and that at first it kind of starts off funny because he's like, not even my funny face got him to laugh. But then as like this conversation progresses or whatever, and he said like, are you mad at me? And Hikaru asks him, are you mad at me, and stuff like that. So stuff starts to escalate, and Yoshiki said like, you're not even a real Hikaru, and I guess it kind of causes like a break within him, because he starts going on a tangent saying like, I know I'm not the real Hikaru, I know I'm not him, but that doesn't mean like I don't love being around you, and like I'm afraid because it's the first time I'm live, and like this, like my feelings and Hikaru's feelings are starting to blur together, and like I don't even know whose feelings are who, like like he's like their emotions are starting to like blur together, like their sense of self is starting to blur together, right? And he's just like really desperate, and he constantly wants Yoshiki to be like around, right, and always be by his side. And we get like this scene of like whatever that substance is, that's inside of him, like starts coming, like leaking out of him. It's like coming onto all over the ceiling and shit like that. Like, and I feel like this entity is like maybe a lot bigger than we think it is, because it was a lot, right? So, the substance that's inside his body starts leaking out, and it gets all over the place. And like, then he starts to like, I guess like attack Yoshiki, and he's trying to like once again do what he did back in like the last episode in the shed. He's like trying to like infuse or enter inside of him or something like that. And like we get like a quick dialogue and like what's going on in Yoshiki's head when this is happening. He's just like I can't breathe, but this feels good, but like, should I like it? And I do find that interesting, because it's the same scenario we had with like the last episode, where he's just when we talk about like the scene in the shed, once again with his hand entering his body, it's like, it's an allegory for like queer sex. I think this is also another allegory, but like it's kind of like he's still so overwhelmed by it, but he enjoys it, but he still doesn't know about how to go about sorting out his feelings and stuff like that. But once again, Hikaru like pulls back before he goes too far, and he's just like, I just want you around, and I don't know what I would do if you weren't around. And he's like, don't hate me or whatever, and he just walks away. And I do have to say, I do find it interesting, and I really do like how like original Hikaru's feelings and like current Hikaru's feelings are starting to really blur between between the two. And to me, like, and then it does make me wonder, like, it seems as though this very, like, both of them have this very intense romantic feelings toward Yoshiki, right? And it's can't bear the thought of him not being in their lives or whatever. And it does make me wonder. And then the way Hikaru talked about Yoshiki, or talks about him, it's like he has like this possessiveness over him, right? And it does make me wonder, it's like, is that the original Hikaru that has that like possessiveness, and like this thing that possesses body kind of exacerbated, or would he have always gone about being super possessive with Yoshiki, even if what happened didn't happen? Like, I guess in a sense, like, did this thing that possessed him, is it kind of like being more upfront and apparent about how he feels now since everything that's happened? That's something else, like, I'm thinking about as like time's gone on. It's like it's been like a day since I watched the episode, as you see from like when this is being uploaded. And I do really think, and you can't help but feel bad for like both of them, because Yoshiki is just like, he was so in denial about like him being dead, Hikaru being dead for like 6 months, because like we said, this is like the summer Hikaru died, and he's just like, he wants to stay away, but at the same time he just can't bear the thought of him not being around either. He can't bear the thought that he's like really gone, and he just wants him around in any capacity, even if it's like maybe not for the best. Oh, also forgot to mention that like Hikaru grabbed his arm like really really hard, to the point that it left like a mark on his arm, right? It kind of was like the similar color to like the woman Rie's wedding ring fingerprint too. So I don't know if that was intentional, or just like maybe something that's just like a coincidence, whatever, right? And then you also feel bad for Hikaru, or at least this current version of Hikaru, because this is like his first time being alive, and he's experiencing all these really intense feelings for like the first time. So he's kind of fumbling through this, because though he hasn't been alive, or like been alive in a human body for that long, it hasn't even been like a year since he's been in his body. So like he doesn't know how to go about feeling his feelings. And once again, that's something else I do really find interesting, this whole aspect of like this is his first time being alive, so he's gonna stumble through life like in the kind of like, you could say childlike, in like how he doesn't, it's his first time interacting with certain feelings. Because even Asako, she said it gives a vibe of like somebody who's a kid, or like who's really naive, because she and Yuki mentioned that like Hikaru's been like really really clingy to Hikaru has been really clingy to like Yoshiki and stuff like that, right? And then when Yoshiki thinks about it, he's like, oh, I see. Like, and once again, it's just like this constantly, like, you feel like he shouldn't be doing this, because like this could lead to a disaster. But you can understand why he's kind of disregarding that, because I guess he not only feels like responsible for him, but he, once again, he just does want him around. So like after they had a little conversation with the two of them, he goes to Hikaru's house, and he's coming to the house. He's like, Hikaru, I'm here. And Hikaru's like in a blanket or whatever. Like at first I thought they were gonna have him like I don't know. At first I thought they were gonna have him like him be like in this half shifted form or whatever, but he wasn't. He was fine. He looked like a human. And like he didn't want to come out first. He was like, you're afraid of me. And like Yokishi's like, no, I'm not. And he kind of like reaches out his hand, And he's like, yes, you are. And Yoshiki was like, okay, look, we can just work on this together. We'll figure it out. And he's like, you know, they'll just figure it out together and stuff like that. And damn, it's just like, this show is so good. We're only like 3 episodes in. We're about to be like 5 episodes. We're all gonna be like 4 episodes in. But like, this is so good, and I can't, like, it's like a bittersweet way to end the episode, but does make me kind of hopeful that, like, they'll figure out how to work it out and stuff like that, and like what to do going forward when it becomes between the two of them. And I honestly can't really wait to see like what they do when it comes to how you're going to bring in this agency. What is Hikaru and like Yoshiki's relationship going to look like going forward? Like, I am kind of interested to see like how this all comes into play in the next episode. I'm like really excited. I kind of thought that like for some reason it was like not going to get aired, because like I know that Japan's like elections are happening soon, or are about to happen, or did happen, because I know that they said like they were going to be putting a halt on like airing any episodes. Like, that's why I think Gashi didn't come out today. But yeah, long story short, really good episode. Can't wait to see more, and I'll see y'all next week for the next discussion.